The views expressed by the host of this podcast are not opinion-based or for entertainment purposes. They are actually facts and truth, no matter if other people like it or not. It is the Michigan sports truth, and nothing can ever stop it from being correct.
Hey there, Michigan sports fanatics, and welcome to episode 223 of the Michigan Sports Truth on Spreaker. Taylor Phillips and Ed Smith here. Ed, how's your week been?
Quite eventful, so to speak. Certainly from the sports side of things, big aspect, the big event that we saw transpire, of course, was the opening weekend of the Olympics this year's Summer Games, this time originating from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. It's quite a thing to see that, for instance, University of Michigan graduate and possibly all-around greatest Olympic athlete ever, Michael Phelps, still competing, still winning gold medals. In fact, he just won his 19th gold medal. Granted, it was a team event, but still, gold medal is a gold medal. Last night in the 4x100 team relay, freestyle relay, I should say. And that 19th, again, continues his record-breaking total and pace that he is, I guess you could say, started back in 2004. Then, of course, the 8x8 in 2008 in Beijing, followed by more success 4 years ago in London, and now here what we're seeing with Rio. Wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't really call it a day and probably waits another 4 or so years, and then competes again at the 2020 games. That'll be something to see, but that's neither here or there for now. What matters is what's going on with our local teams. We got a lot to talk about, mainly concerning what's going on with Tigers and, of course, football from both pro and college.
Yeah, and we're going to start with the Tigers as usual.
That one is long gone.
Tigers take 4 out of 6 total. 2 or 3 from the White Sox. First 2 or 3 from the White Sox, and then the first 2 or 3 from the Mets. Tigers beat the White Sox 11-5. They crushed them, except the starting pitching kind of got a little iffy. Second game, J.D. Martinez returned. Michael Fulmer was pitching. He gave up a game-tying solo home run to Justin Morneau in the 7th, and didn't finish the 7th for some reason, because he fell apart because of that. And then in the bottom of the 8th, J.D. Martinez pinch hit and hit a solo blast, a game-winning solo blast to the center field bushes. And then Francisco Rodriguez allowed the bases loaded and 2 outs, and he still got the save. And then
should be noted briefly. Pardon me, your interruption. Should be noted briefly on the J.D. Martinez home run. Not only was that his first at bat since coming back from the DL. Of course, the injury that he went through was his elbow, which led to
his first pitch.
Yeah, exactly. The very first pitch. JD saw it, hammered it, hit it straight to dead center, 438, 439 feet, I think the estimated total was.
Oh, man!
Center field bushes. Great moment, by the way. I happened to catch it live and while listening to the radio, as well as watching it later on TV. Great moment. The announcers were certainly into it. The crowd was into it for sure. The atmosphere of the crowd, it felt like witnessing a big moment in a playoff game instead of just a moment in the middle of a playoff chase. So much needed and a crucial win in this whole stretch here. And then JD was going to follow up very soon, but I'll let you continue and get to that one, Taylor.
Yep. And then the third game, Jordan Zimmerman scheduled to be reactivated on Thursday. He made his return. He gave up one run. He gave up the one run again in the first, and his lateral neck was bothering him again. And Brad Ausmus left him in the game in the second inning, and Jordan Zimmerman gave up 5 runs.
Yeah, the game was essentially ended right there in that second inning. Brad Ausmus did Jordan Zimmerman a big disservice by leaving him in there far too long. The fact that he and a trainer had to go check on him in the first inning should have been an indicator that he had to be put on a very short leash. Otherwise, this game was going to get out of hand, out of control. Unfortunately, as you saw in the second inning, it did. But Ausmus just let them in far too long. I think if he had taken out there a bit sooner, try to limit the damage as much as you possibly could, it would have given you a better chance to possibly win the game. But it is what it is. And like I said, those 6 runs came in before Zimmerman could even finish 2 innings, and after that he was gone. And that effectively sealed the game right there for Chicago. Tough way to win for the win streak to end, but still, Tigers were able to at least take the series in that regard.
That was a 6-3 loss. That trainer's name was Kevin Rand. He has been the Tigers athletic trainer for about a decade, over a decade or something like that.
Nice longevity.
Yeah, but big mistake, Ausmus and Rand together for leaving Zimmerman in the game. Another mistake for Brad Ausmus and Al Avila, their general manager, both even reactivating him way too damn early.
Even so, I think if you want to take that approach and go the hindsight road, say, hey, maybe we shouldn't have brought him back. I still say, obviously once it was proven that you probably should have done that since he was put back on the DL again. I still say, why did you leave him out that long in that second inning when you already checked on him? You had to have known how bad he was doing in the first, how much he was hurting in the first. Why didn't you have at least say, hey, if you give a second run or a third run, I'm pulling you? No, you wait till it gets 6-0, 6-1, before you do something. Bad judgment right there by Ausmus. Bad mismanagement by an already bad manager in that regard, in that situation.
Yeah, and that's another example of how Brad Ausmus is asking to lose his job after this year, which we're going to touch on right now. I would. This is my other talking point. A lot of people are saying that the Tigers will keep Ausmus after finishing with a winning record, despite not making the playoffs. Any kind of winning record, like 90 wins, especially Billy Jones of all people. They're wrong.
Are you out of your mind?
It's definitely a point that I disagree with because this is year 3 now. This is year 3 of Brad Ausmus, and 2014 season, yeah, he had made it to the playoffs, but look how much he bungled the pitching rotation in that series against Baltimore, which led to sweep. How on earth that you waited to put David Price in there when you were down 0-2 leading into that game 3? That deserved him to lose his job right then and there. But I think, wasn't that, by the way, according to reports in the Detroit Sports Rack, that Mike Ilitch wanted to fire Ausmus right there, but was convinced by Dave Dombrowski and company not to do it. And then, of course, Dombrowski was axed middle of the next season anyway. So, good job falling on your sword there, Dave. And then, if you ask me and ask everybody else, Ausmus should have been gone at the end of last year because not only did the Tigers miss the playoffs, not only did they watch the Royals, team they've been whipping on for the past few years in the Central Division, win the division and go on to win the whole World Series. They couldn't even get to the playoffs themselves, and not like I mentioned, right. And not to mention, Ausmus just continued mismanagement even more, showing itself to be more evident, be more constant. It's not just an anomaly. This was, what you see is what you get with him. Again, like me and you, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other folks, he wanted him gone right then and there. But I guess Al Avila, seeing that the other alternatives could be Mike Ilitch, bringing back either Jim Leland or maybe, God forbid, going for Hot Gardenhire. Avila, I guess it was an example of pick your poison. And Al Avila, maybe he sees something in Ausmus. Maybe he feels he's the most metric advanced of all the candidates they got right now. But even if you can have all the metrics in the world, if you don't understand the simple basics, simple fundamentals, and how to manage a game, you don't deserve to have that job, to have that title, have that moniker. So here we are in year 3. Yes, even though the Tigers are 11 games over 500, yes, they're still in the thick of things, the playoff chase. I still don't trust them because they have a complete imbecile as their manager.
Yeah,
that's one glaring weakness that you can't overlook.
Yeah, they got. Yeah, the fans got to stop believing that Brad Ausmus has to return. It's almost as if they're getting this crap from a source that Ausmus will return if the Tigers finish with any kind of with a winning record. But again, they're wrong. I say either get to the postseason and win at least one playoff game, or win the World Series, or else Ausmus will be fired. But considering,
I say at the very least, I was going to say bare minimum they make the playoffs. It's probably, I would be not almost certain, but high probability that he could be brought back if they make a deep run, or like you mentioned, win the World Series. Guarantee he will be back. Very rarely do you see teams change managers or fire someone after they win the World Series. It looks ludicrous to some people, but like I said, when your manager is Brad Ausmus, you want to take that into consideration. But I'm of the belief this is year 3. If he doesn't make the playoffs this year, don't care what record it is. You don't make the postseason. Bye, Brad.
Yeah, 3 long years. We want the Tigers to miss the playoffs so Ausmus can get fired. That's our point. He's horrible, as we mentioned. He's an imbecile, a mimbecile. That is, a mimbo imbecile. No question about it. Period.
Yeah, he's a dunderhead. And what sucks, too, because you see how talented this team is. The payroll advantage they have within their own division, the type of talent guys that they have, the Cabreras, both Martinez, both JD and Victor, Justin Upton, Ian Kinsler, among others. Then, of course, you're seeing, for the most part, consistent and cohesive starting pitching. Even though, K-Rod has been his usual self, he's still giving you strong numbers, a strong season. You see all these elements, you think, and not to mention the fact that Cleveland is not doing so hot at the moment with their division. We'll get to that in a little bit. You think, okay, the Tigers just get in and win a division and go to playoff here, knowing that what their rotation if their starting rotation is all right, how they can help them out in the short series with Verlander, Fulmer, and if not Jordan Zimmerman, maybe at the very least Daniel Norris, who I think should have already been brought back. Especially seeing how Zimmerman looked against Chicago on Thursday. So you see that potential starting rotation in a short series that would benefit the Tigers in the long run here. But because you're at least one of your few, if not the only glaring weakness that you have is such an eyesore staring you right in the eye. It causes me to tread lightly in hopes of them saying, hey, maybe they could do something big this year. I can't put that in full 100% faith because who they have as their manager, and that's just heartbreaking, but it's true.
Yeah, which leads us to the Mets series, and let's point out at least a couple more examples of Brad Ausmus's imbecilicity. First and foremost, the Tigers took the first two of the next 3 from the New York Mets, 4-2, 6-5, and then they lose 3-1. Brad Ausmus
for some reason put Tyler Collins in, and obviously, keep in mind Tyler Collins doesn't get on base too often because, but lately Tyler Collins has hit like about 300, over 300 since his return from AAA, his second major league stint this year. Saturday night, he reached base all four times, 2 walks and 2 hits. And that was contributory. The Tigers, however, having to barely hang on for that 6-5 win, with K-Rod almost blowing it, giving up 3 straight singles after getting the first 2 batters out. J.D. Martinez, the play at the plate, with a healthy elbow, nailing a slow base running Jay Bruce, trying to score from second base. That was an easy play, but it still had to be executed perfectly. But let's go.
You still got to make the throw. So credit to JD. Credit to JD on that. That was a quintessential 9-2 put out that ended the game that the Tigers desperately needed to win.
Yep. But Francisco Rodriguez almost. The final score of Friday's game was 4-3. My correction. Francisco Rodriguez almost blew both save opportunities and games as well. Justin Verlander, by the way, 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 103 pitches thrown. Great performance, not quite tremendous, but still great enough. He got the win.
Very solid, by the way. Yeah, and now he not only did he get the win, he also became, I believe, the leader in the category of strikeouts for the American League, and it follows up the fact that he was named the AL Pitcher of the Month for the month of July. He went 4-0, had a sub 200 ERA, had about 44 or so strikeouts in that month of July. Very low WHIP, and just a very terrific month of July for JV. Once again, showing us that, you know what, he is back. You can use the B word here. He is back, showing you close to the form that he gave us in 2011, 2012, when he was the perennial one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. You know, won the MVP and Sung as well as the Cy Young in 2011. Had a very solid 2012, and 2013 season was not good, but still had a very good postseason in my view. Then 2014 and most of 2015 started to slump off, lost some velocity on his fastball. Didn't know what was bothering him, but he seems to pick that back around this year. He's got more dialing it up his fastball, getting more speed back. I think that's due to the fact that he's being more careful, conservative with his pitch count and approach with his variety of pitches early on in the game. That way, he still has chance. Still has enough in the tank later on in late innings, 6, 7, 8, even 9th inning to rear back and give you 95, 96, even 97 mile-per-hour heat. And like you said, piling on the strikeouts, like you mentioned, the 9 that he had in his last outing. In fact, the game before that had 11 with this outing against the Houston Astros. So the fact that now he's 5 years removed, going to be soon from when he won the Cy Young and MVP, and yet Justin Verlander at this moment, at the very least, is still leading the American League in strikeouts. Quite remarkable in my view.
Yeah, and so the Tigers took the first 2 again, and then Brad Ausmus putting K-Rod in again for the 3rd straight game, and keep in mind Francisco Rodriguez already made an appearance the first 2 games of that series, pitched the 9th inning and finished it. He made Ausmus made K-Rod pitch the ninth inning again, and K-Rod didn't even get an out until he gave up that two-run home run to second baseman Neil Walker. He hit the first batter and then gave up a two-run home run to right center off the bat of Neil Walker, and the Mets took a 3-1 lead. Rodriguez was able to get an out after that, but Ausmus then gave him the hook, and Bruce Rondon pitched a perfect 2/3 of an inning. But Brad Ausmus should not have pitched K-Rod because he was tired, not because K-Rod is awful. That's not true. K-Rod is an excellent closer, but right now K-Rod just needs to stop allowing base runners. But based on what happened in Sunday's game, I would blame Brad Ausmus 100% on that decision to bring K-Rod in, because K-Rod, not only is K-Rod struggling, K-Rod is tired. Those are two reasons there.
Yeah, exactly. K-Rod was overworked. He not necessarily from Ausmus, but more so from himself due to the effort, all those pitches he had to throw to get those high-pressure saves against Chicago and, of course, against New York as well the other night. I think in the save outing against the White Sox, he had about 30 pitches, I believe, one of his previous saves before the Saturday night one. So you have to think eventually it was going to come back to bite the Tigers, and it did. But I think hopefully now with the rest of the day, Sunday, and then all today, maybe more than likely he probably will get the night off. But if it comes down to it, hey, 2 or 3 run lead, you need to bring closer down in the ninth. I wouldn't be too surprised if Ausmus goes to him again. But that's not the only issue that I have with Ausmus regarding that game on Sunday. I understand. Listen, sometimes on Sundays it's a getaway game. It's the last game of a homestand. You want to give some of your players rest. I get that. But when you're in the middle of a pennant chase and you're this close, you're trailing behind Cleveland, I'm not sure. And most importantly, you're dealing with injuries to your offense. I'm not sure if that was the right move to bench Ian Kinsler at the start of the game, especially knowing after you pinch him, by the way, he went 2 for 2 with 2 hits and an RBI. So maybe that should have been your hint that maybe you should have just played him the whole way through, because I get it, you want to give him rest, but A, when you're in the middle of a pennant chase, and B, now the injury bug has hit your offense again with the Cameron Maven having a sprained ligament in his thumb, and now with what we saw the other night as a result of the hit by pitch, Nick Castellanos, who has had a better coming out year, a better offensive display this year, fractured his left hand. So he's going to be on the DL. So with those factors in mind, I don't think Kinsler should have gotten the rest. I think he should have just played the full way through on Sunday. And, it's yet another occurrence where one of those examples where the Tigers got to do, sometimes they do the best that they can in spite of their manager.
Yeah, who wanted to give Kinsler the day off mentally because just for no reason. But Kinsler was needed to start, no question about it. Nick Castellanos is non-displaced fracture in the 5th metacarpal of his left hand due to the hit by pitch on the DL. Also, Jordan Zimmerman being put back on the DL by re-aggravating his lateral neck injury after on Thursday. So infielder Casey McGee and left-handed pitcher Kyle Ryan, who I thought should have started the 9th inning because he was a fresh guy, despite. But we understand he had been struggling to pitch a clean inning. But Kyle Ryan has made some holds, holding the opponents to 0 runs, despite allowing plenty of base runners per appearance. But I think Kyle Ryan should have started the ninth instead of Francisco Rodriguez, who really needed that rest. Brad Ausmus continues to misuse and use Rodriguez the wrong way, because we know how dumb Brad Ausmus is as a manager. That's it.
Yeah. Another thing, and one more thing, I guess you could say, I guess on the bash Ausmus brigade here, but did not agree with him placing James McCann in the lineup. He has not had, I believe, a good job against lefties compared to Jared Saltalamacchia. I'm trying to find a tweet right now, but Jeff Moss posted some interesting numbers regarding OPS that both Salty and McCann have against lefties and righties this year. I believe coming into Sunday's game, one had an OPS of like 800 against, excuse me 1 second. I'm trying to find it right now. Let's see here. It's on here somewhere.
That loss on Thursday, by the way, cost the Tigers the second wild card spot, but they actually got back in it due to the Red Sox losing 2 of 3 to the Dodgers and the Tigers winning 2 of 3 to the Mets. That was just a lucky break.
Yeah, including that 8-5 loss with former Tiger David Price on the mound. Once again, Price just not having a good outing where Boston needs it the most. By the way, I found the tweet, by the way. This was before or going into the game against the Mets yesterday from Jeff Moss. You can follow him on Twitter, by the way, at Jeff Moss DSR, the head man of DetroitSportsRag.com. He posted 19 hours ago. That's how it was dated from the tweet. Quote, Saltalamacchia has OPS of 804 versus right-handed pitchers, 532 versus lefties. McCann has an OPS of 890 versus lefties, 408 versus righties. Ours is not a strict platoon, and I agree wholeheartedly. If you follow those, that's not a confused metric, whatever. That's like a basic stat almost, essentially. Your OPS, you have an OPS of 800 against righties if you're Saltalamacchia, yet you don't come. You have to sit on the bench.
It's more like an intermediate statistic. It's an intermediate.
Yeah, exactly.
Continue.
Exactly, the OPS. So knowing that you have that at your disposal, how do you not just platoon it? You have McCann start against lefties and Salty start against righties. That's, oh my goodness. I don't care how good might be at defensively, one or over the other. When you're coming down the stretch, you need all the offense you can get, and playing your cards right offensively with your strengths and weaknesses. And with a 400-point disparity in OPS against a righty or a lefty for both guys, should give you clues to how you should manage and your rotation in that regard with your catcher position when it comes to your lineups. But once again, because you have a dunderhead as your head guy, as your manager, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Do I make myself clear?
Done deal, pal.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate that luckily the Tigers are still in the wild card spot, that second American League wild card spot, just a half game ahead of the Boston Red Sox. They are 2 back of the Cleveland Indians for the lead in the American League Central Division. The Indians losing 2 or 3 to the New York Yankees in the Bronx, 13-7 Friday. They won. The Indians won Saturday's game 5-2, and then they lost 3-0 Sunday. So,
thank goodness. Yeah, thank goodness the Yankees. Well, 3-2 was the final score. Actually, slight correction, but thank goodness they won that game. Otherwise, I'd be more upset now if I were talking to you.
Yeah, the Indians have been slumping as of late, and so have the Red Sox. The Astros are slumping as well, but the Seattle Mariners
have been catching up. That's the Tigers' next opponent. All three games at 10-10. That's one reason why we had to do this podcast this morning.
Exactly. We had to, between that 3-game set, we needed to get this episode logged in and recorded because it wouldn't make sense. It would have been too difficult to try to do everything live while ongoing game. This late at night would have been going on. So obviously, hence what we're doing right now. But this is a Mariners team. Let's not forget one of their wins recently came in a stretch against the Red Sox. By the way, David Price on the mound looked strong. Had a 3-0 lead through 8 innings, had a 4-0 lead through 8 innings, and then one home run after first started with the home run with the first batter, Zunino. Then the floodgates were open, and then eventually Seattle came back, won that game 5-4. So
that was a 3-run home run by Robinson Cano.
Yeah, don't you know, Robbie Cano? So with him, and of course, noted Tiger killer,
former Yankee.
God, his name is help me out, Taylor. He used to play for the Rangers. Then he was with Nelson Cruz. Yeah. Noted Tiger killer, Nelson Cruz. Seattle's nothing to sleep on, to say the least.
Yeah, the Mariners have a powerful offense, and they have a really good pitching staff, starting and relief. So Tigers had better be ready for all those. And of course they got third base coach Manny Acta, who we want the Tigers to manage next season.
Mm-hmm. So a crucial 3-game set here for the Tigers as they start this new week.
And then the Tigers have Thursday off, and then they're in Texas for 3 games against the struggling Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Who, by the way, now are without Prince Fielder.
Out for the rest of the season again.
That he recently, with yet another neck surgery. So,
man, becoming more injury prone.
When you look back on it, that trade that basically where we essentially swapped Fielder for Ian Kinsler could go down as one of the best trades in Tigers history, one of the worst trades in Rangers history when you think about it. My goodness.
Yeah, you got that exactly right. That's become even more of a no-brainer for then Tigers general manager Dave Dombrowski, now managing the Red Sox, who are contending for that second American League wild card spot with the Detroit Tigers against and their general manager Al Avila, who again was saying that Brad Ausmus was a good leader. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Well, he's a good lead, but he may be a good leader, but his brain not being put to good use. That's the most important part. That's the most detrimental part of the Tigers here. So with that, that's all the Tigers stuff we have to cover. Now let's go to Let's go to some Lions talking points here.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
First off, before we preview anything, got an injury update. Tight end Eric Ebron, during practice, suffered an Achilles injury, potentially quote-unquote devastating. After that, he told 2 of his teammates that he's okay, but one of the members in the Detroit Sports Rag group says he's most likely out for the season, done like dinner, quote unquote. So, what's the real scoop here, Ed?
Well, you know how secretive the Tigers, not the Tigers, but the Lions want to be and has been past few years now, keeping player injuries a discreet secret whether it be from teams still that, they want to get a leg up on strategy and game plan. They think they're the Patriots, which is so hilariously sad. Oh, look how cute. But with the injury to Ebron here, it should be noted, as it was reported by many other people, including Adam Schefter, Ebron had to be carted off the field. That's not usually a telltale sign that, it was just a minor injury. So, so not too surprising to hear reports, it might have been his Achilles. Duh, makes sense. That is an injury that you don't want to play around with, even if it's a strain or whatever the case may be. If it turns out the case that he has to miss the majority of it, a full year, an injury like that will do that to you. But some might be saying could be, since there's no definitive word yet, you don't know if it's an Achilles or an ankle. I'm seeing it should probably an indicator that things might not be too disastrous. Because Eric Ebron apparently posted a Snapchat video of him in a teammate's car, listening to some music, being very happy, in a relaxed mood, you would say. That doesn't speak to me of a guy that might have just suffered a season-ending injury. So, again, we just have to wait and see on A, whether that will give some confirmation on what type of injury he suffered, and B, just to see how much time he'll really actually miss.
Yeah, this whole thing about us hearing that Eric Ebron is okay or might miss the season back and forth, it's kind of mysterious considering we have no official word yet on how long he's going to be out. So like you said, we'll have to see about it. With that being discussed, let's preview that preseason actually, because it's coming up this Friday.
Yay, football!
Yep. The Lions are in Pittsburgh Friday at 7 or 7:30. I think it's 7 o'clock, isn't it? Or is it 7:30? They play the Steelers.
I guess they'll be airing. I think it'll be airing on. Let's see. Yeah, well, it has it listed as 7 o'clock. So
7 o'clock.
Like
yep,
probably
that's
7
what I thought.
o'clock. Yep.
Let's preview that preseason just for the fun of it. How do you think the Lions? Well, actually, we're going to save that for the 5 questions. That's going to be question number 4 on my script. Moving on
we can at least showcase let them know the opponents that they have.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Got to do homework on that one. But Jim Caldwell had a press conference after practice at Ford Field. He said to the media last week that the Lions' pride is on the line. I mean, I don't know what kind of pride the Lions have in their franchise, most importantly. So we don't even know what the hell Jim Caldwell is even talking about.
Clearly, he has not paid attention to the last 60, almost 60-odd years or so. What pride does this team have?
No pride.
The whole entire franchise organization. Exactly.
Yeah. There's no need for anyone to discuss that because they already know. Because we already know how long the Lions have struggled without a Super Bowl, an NFL championship since 1957, with one playoff win in 58 years and counting. Want to get to a little Spartan football business here.
Touchdown, MSU!
Their football head coach Mark Dantonio, late last week, was having an interview with Mike North and Andy Furman of Fox Sports Radio's Fox Sports Daybreak, and they asked him 5 absolutely stupid questions and didn't do their homework. And on their 5th question, Mark Dantonio hung up. Ed, one of the questions says, "Do you eat pasta with Tom Izzo and with and then that 5th question with Connor Cook gone, who will your quarterback be? Oh, well, of course it's going to be Tyler Connor. Come on, Mike and Andy. You know, you should know this already. Follow along."
You have to have known about that, right, since before the bowl game.
Yeah, before last season's bowl game.
Yeah, not a good job prep.
Yeah, they didn't do any homework at all. They weren't prepared at all.
Like, what would you have with Tom Izzo for dinner? Oh, God.
Let me tell you what, it's a disgrace to the entire sports talk radio industry, and it's an entire disgrace. It's an entire slap in the face to Michigan State University and its athletics department. So Andy Furman and Mike North, suck it.
DX crotch chop style.
Yeah. Yeah, and DX wears green, the same, just like Michigan State. So, it's time for 5 questions. Are you ready, Ed?
I am, but before we do, just one more brief mention. This past week, staying in the topic of college football, this was also when the AP, or the coaches poll rather, released their preseason top 25. Some interesting names and that we saw in there. Of course, number 1, the defending national champs Auburn. Number 2, the runner-up from last year in the playoff, Clemson. Oklahoma, number 3. Florida State, number 4. The highest ranked Big Ten team, number 5, is Ohio State, followed by LSU at number 6, Stanford at number 7, and look who's at number 8, but none other than the Michigan Wolverines, who will be entering year 2 with Jim Harbaugh. Then rounding out the top 10, number 9, Notre Dame, number 10, Tennessee. Should be of note, MSU comes in, I believe, ranked 11th. So, after them, the defending Big Ten champion reached the semifinal playoff last year. Of course, they got destroyed by Alabama. But hey, that's Bama. That's Saban. They're always a monster year in, year out. But there's not too much shame in losing to them, no matter what margin. So, for them to be the defending Big Ten champion, coming off a playoff appearance, and by the way, had to replace their quarterback for them to be at number 11. Very nice ranking, I think, for Michigan State. One that they could use to their advantage in terms of trying to battle back, probably get to another playoff spot, especially for Michigan as well. In my view, they're at a perfect spot where you're at number 8. Between now and November, December, teams are going to be losing. They're going to be falling out, losing their spot, whatever. If you're Michigan, all you need to do is focus on winning, possibly winning out. This may include winning out all your games, this scenario. But hey, you beat your toughest games. You beat Michigan State. You beat Ohio State. Win your division. Win the conference. And not to mention name recognition, value, the brand, the Block M, which by the way, back with Nike now, and also now partnered with the Jordan brand. Not to mention the media attention of Jim Harbaugh, yada yada yada. All of that factors in the fact that if Michigan wins, pretty much has a strong regular season, or practically wins all their games, more than likely they will be guaranteed a spot in the playoff, even if they're ranked number 8 right now.
And we'll preview Michigan and Michigan State, and even my Central Michigan Chippewas and Western and Eastern briefly sometime down the road this month. Because it's coming up in 1 month.
We still got time, right, since college football kicks off in September. But still, preseason rankings are out, so they'll let you know what one of our favorite times of the year is almost around the corner.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for that. So with that being said, are you now ready for 5 questions? I am.
Absolutely, Taylor. Absolutely. So just let them rip, Taylor.
It's time for 5 questions on the Michigan Sports Truth on Spreaker. Question number 1. How valuable is J.D. Martinez's return for the Tigers, especially for their offense?
Scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15. After seeing what he did at the plate with his first pitch back, and then Saturday night with the 9-2 put out, I'm already putting him as the front runner for second MVP of the second half of the season. That's how badly he was missed throughout the duration of his injury, which was surprising to how well they performed without him. Now that they have him back, they have a good a shot as any. It's not just get to the wild card, but possibly win the AL division, Central Division. So yeah, very valuable for the Tigers to get J.D. Martinez back just in time to on this crucial stretch of the pennant chase.
Oh yeah, and he kicked it off with a bang.
I love it.
Next question.
Question number 2. Did Al Avila and Brad Ausmus reactivate Jordan Zimmerman too early? They did, didn't they?
In hindsight, it's absolutely easy to say yes. Even if, like I said, if you see how he's doing in the first inning, put him on the short leash. If he gives up another run or two in the second, take his behind out. It's not so much the fact that you brought him back too early. It's how you handled his start overall. Like, he should not have been staying out that long in that second inning.
Both are detrimental.
Exactly.
Next question.
Question number 3. How does Nick Castellanos' left-hand injury negatively affect the Tigers for the next 4 weeks? Because he's going to be out 4 weeks. Zimmerman's going to be out 2 weeks, but Castellanos, how's that affected?
Oh, it sucks, especially when you just got back JD. Now you have to go through this period again where you have to trot out the likes of Casey McGahee's and now the Andrew Romines. They haven't mentioned Mike Aviles yet, but that's going to come up again.
Aviles should be out of there, off this team.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to return back to at least a semblance of those days with the lineup again. Somehow, some way, we were still winning games, but even still, I didn't like seeing those players out there. They didn't deserve to be out there, but they're going to get their chance due to what? A crucial injury to one of our key starters.
Yeah, Avila should be DFA'd. He's making me seasick. That's just the bottom line.
Next question.
Question number 4. Just for the sake of it, how do you think the Lions will fare in the 2016 NFL preseason?
They'll go 500, 3-1. That's how they usually do nowadays with these preseasons. They try to get your hopes up, saying, wow, look at them, they won 3 or 4. Wow, they won all 4 games. Only to effectively blue ball you and just make you a complete disappointment in the regular season.
Next question.
And finally, question number 5. Is there anything necessarily on the line for the Lions? I'd say Jim Caldwell's job is on the line. That's it.
Yeah, that is point A, C, and B all wrapped up into one big bullet. That's the only thing you need to. There's only one thing you would say that'll be on the line. That's that. Because with Caldwell, I don't care how much of a good sitting he might have with the players or front office or ownership. You don't make the playoffs. What good purpose do you have?
Right.
So, but they don't do it this year. He's another guy I would clearly love to see being gone, as well as Ausmus.
Oh,
in case
yeah.
You didn't know, in case the folks didn't know, yeah, he's on my short list of guys I want to see fired too. Just letting you all know.
Yep, very short list. So, for all the listeners and fans out there, if you want to answer those questions, just replay the episode and answer them in the comment bank below this episode. I will copy and paste those questions so you fans will know them. So that wraps up episode 223 of the Michigan Sports Truth on Spreaker. Ed, thanks again so much for your help. I'll talk to you again on episode 224, possibly Sunday at 11.
Appreciate it, Taylor. Looking forward to it. Have a good rest of your day, man.
Thanks, you too.
And before we sign off, I want to remind everyone that the Michigan Sports Truth podcast here on Spreaker is in search of local advertising sponsors, but we need a wider audience. So we want you to get the word out, share all over the place. I'm sharing in groups everywhere. My link to our podcast on Spreaker. Please share. Have your friends share it as well. And then if anyone has a business that's interested in sponsoring this program, please email me at taylorgatorphillips14@yahoo.com, Phillips with 2 L's, or privately message me on Facebook or Twitter. Also, follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips and follow EdSmith313 on Twitter. For Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. If there's anything you fans want more of or less of on our podcast, please let us know. We'll talk to you again next week. TTFN, ta-ta for now.
Bon appetit.